Get it.
Get it.
Get
Get
it.
it.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it.
Hit it.
Hit it.
Hit it.
Hit it.
Hit
Hit
it.
it.
Hit
Hit
it.
it.
Ow.
Ow.
Show them girls.
Are we the first people to ever sing that song to you?
In that way together, yes, actually.
Yeah.
In unison
Cross-country.
and two-part harmony, yeah.
Yeah, the harmony that did not match.
Welcome to Breathe If You Agree.
Welcome to Breathe If You Agree. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are so blessed to have our good friend, an iconic actor. I mean, the list goes on. You got Pose, Hacks, Queer as Folk, Station 19. He has his own show on Logo Live, and the co-host of Trace Leches, Johnny Sibilly. Hi, baby.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm here. I'm like a little stressed because I'm like filling out my ballot.
Oh, but the thing about the ballot is like always, you're like, okay, I know who I'm doing, and you're like, I know a couple props and whatnot, and then they're like, what about this judge? And you're like, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
That's why it's important to do your research.
Right, exactly. yes,
Correct.
That's what the internet and your friends are for.
Or have a boyfriend like Nico to tell you what is correct.
My boyfriend used to work in California politics, Democratic Party, for 5 years, so I just in there like, and what about this one? like
It's
step
very
by
much
step.
in school when you're like looking over and someone's
Yes.
like trying to cover their answers.
Yes.
I always
Oh
hate
my
those.
God. Those people
Yeah.
were the worst. What cops?
Like the
Horrible.
people who would cover.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
listen, I had a crush on this guy, like the first guy I ever had a crush on in like 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to copy off of me, but like I didn't have the heart to tell him I wasn't smart. So he got his test back and he's like, I thought you were smart. I was like, oh, I never said that, but I wasn't going to tell you no.
Yeah, you were like, I mean, I let you take a peek, but what you were
You're like,
looking at wasn't
am.
gorgeous.
You have bad eyesight and you failed on your own. Like, I got an A. Shout out to my friend Emily, who is a listener, and she, in music theory, she had that hand up hardcore.
Oh.
She's like one of my best friends in the world,
Ooh.
and she still was like, honey.
She was like,
It
it's not
ain't
happening.
working.
Yeah, there
But,
was
Yeah.
props. She did the work. I didn't, so.
I remember when I was in AP Bio, there was this girl, Michelle, that I was always like, if I just didn't get enough study in, I was like, Michelle's going to come through today. And there was like a day where she was just like, it's not happening anymore. And I was like, it was more so like, not like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't study, but more so just like, how fucking dare you? like,
Yeah.
I thought you were my girl. So
Yeah.
it didn't work out.
It reminds me
me
of I was in at ACL, Austin City Limits Music Festival this weekend. And you know when you're like in a music festival and like you're trying to get as close to the stage as possible, and then there's those people that are like just really put their elbows out like you can't get through, so you're like, excuse me, and they're like they almost like elbow you.
Yes.
That's what it kind of reminds me of. Like
That's so true.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, go off, queen, like go
Right.
ahead, you know.
Yeah. No, right. Especially if someone's like, oh, I want to get up there or whatever. I'm like, I'm not going to fight that. But you are so right. It's like, it's always this like little girl who's just like,
Yeah.
in like fists clenched, like freaking out kind of vibe. And I'm just like, girl, I got to go.
Who'd you see at ACL? Give us who are your favorites, who you...
Well,
could've
the
maybe
best
not
voice of the festival was Benson Boone. That twink can sing. I mean,
okay.
he's got his little mustache, his little flips, but he stays on key. It is amazing. He did like this whole like Freddie Mercury like Dale. You say Dale.
Oh, yes.
And he made us like follow, and I thought that was so great. Chaperone was really great. It was so cool to see so many people show up for her little ass. She's so cute and tiny and fun. Renee Rapp was great. I love her because she's like unafraid to be mean, which I think is so fun,
Yes.
especially as a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Who else? Jess Glynn was really fun. She sings down.
Hi, shit's hi.
She was so great. Yeah, who else did I see? I feel like I saw Teddy Swims and Orville Peck. Very, very good voices, very good stage presence. Orville Peck is such a drama girl. Like,
Oh, really?
He's yeah, like his songs are kind of slow and like vibey, but he's like doing all of this stuff with his hands, and I'm like, oh, she's practiced the craft. Like she knows how to fill the stage. LOL, me in the audience just like critiquing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, she covers her face, so she needs the hands to really emote. She has her eyes and obviously the voice, but she's emoting with her hands.
Have any of you guys seen Orville Peck's face?
Correct.
Like in real life?
Yes.
Oh, you have? Okay, because I have this theory. I was like, I've definitely met them. I just don't know it.
He came up to me at a bar, at Akbar, I think it was, and he was like, "Hey, Johnny," and I was like, "Hey."
Hi. Yeah. Hello.
He's like, "It's Orville." I'm like, "Oh my god,
Mr. Peck.
he's so sweet and so handsome."
That's awesome.
And
That's amazing.
Benson Boone, what's he sing? "I'd rather take my whiskey." Is that him?
Sing a little more of it. I don't.
I'd rather
Take my whiskey. Is that him?
I think so. No,
what's the really popular one?
I think that's Teddy.
Yeah.
No,
That's
that's
Teddy
Benson.
Smith.
That's Benson.
Oh.
Nick's just agreeing with everything.
What's the most popular Benson Boone song?
I think that's the one you just sang.
Okay.
Is it?
I think. Oh God.
I
Hold on,
really am just talking out of my
Let me
ass. I'm
Google
like,
it really
yes,
quick.
of course.
Benson Boone.
Well, no, let's take it back. Let's throw it back to Dylan Mulvaney's episode when Nick
Oh.
Dylan was like, Chapel Roan. And I was like, oh my God, yes. And Nick was like, mm-hmm. And Dylan was like, what?
She
That wasn't a
clocked
big
me.
enough reaction.
Yeah.
And Nick was like, no, I love her. I love her. Didn't have a fucking clue. And now
and now I'm like, and by the way, I'm happy to admit there were some girls that I was first in line for. I was just like, oh yeah, like I know that Hot to Go song, like fucking like I'm like 80 years old. Now it's like Chapel's like it repeat. Like it's disgusting how much I play her. But yeah, no, totally, Dylan. I'm glad I think it's important for me to get clocked in the moment because I am just like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. I just don't want to.
No, not a soul clock. That's my favorite thing though. When people definitely when you tell a story or like tell a joke and they're like, and then it's like you don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I do, and I'm like, explain it to me.
Yeah.
And then they can't, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna tell you why, and then it just becomes further down the line less funny, and the more you explain it, so then by the end you're just fucking pissed, and you're just like, I hate this.
And then they're like, I don't get it, and you're like, well, you did a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you did get it, it'd be funny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that sucks.
Wait, so ACL, that's so fun. What were you just out there for the festival itself?
No, so I am currently bi-coastal.
Okay.
No, well, not coast, but like I have my place here in LA, and I just got a place in Austin to live more often than not.
Okay, fun.
Yeah.
What brought you to Austin?
Often in Austin.
I love that it reminds me of the South without being like scary, like that scary Southern feeling. It's very progressive. It's very young. The food is really good. It's also 3 hours from New York and 3 hours from LA.
Perfect.
On a flight.
On a flight, yeah.
No, by foot.
No,
if you run really fast.
I had that moment I was just talking about where I was like, what?
You're like, sweet.
I was like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, I went to Austin one time like 7 years ago, and it was one of my favorite weekend trips I've ever taken. It was hot as dick, though. And
Yeah.
it was August, and I was...
Oof, yeah,
Mom was
definitely hot.
But the food...
Ooh, the food. The barbecue,
so
baby.
good. Oh, yeah.
Teddy Baker, not Teddy Baker, that's a brand. But what is Ted something?
Baker?
The barbecue place that's really, really.
Oh, Terry Black's is what.
Terry Black.
Yeah.
Teddy Baker.
I was actually in Austin last year around this time, October. I was there for Halloween. Me and Bettina were there for the film festival, which was so fun. And we went to, what was it called? Mirrors or dance. There's a club that's like on a rooftop. That's like an outside thing, and it's close to.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name, but it's. I've had a definitely a dancey fun moment up there when I visited last May for Memorial Day. Me and all my friends that stayed there, we like had a dance party on the roof. It felt like our own dance party because there wasn't a lot of people up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of like gems in Austin. There's like this little bar called Halcyon, which I love. It's like a coffee bar by day, and then at night it turns into a bar, which I think is such a great use of space and beverage.
Love.
Of course. Some margaritas. I had some of my favorite margaritas in Austin. Margaritas and queso. That's I would just like dip, fucking put my fist in a thing of queso. I'd be like, like 1,000.
Oh my God.
And just shove it in.
One of my favorite things is that you can have tacos for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. I mean, you could do that anywhere, but it's like it's cultural there. Like you have a lot of places that that do breakfast tacos. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, I had some really great. When I went to Austin, I was there with my ex-boyfriend, and it was like a party weekend, but with all his street friends. So I woke up that morning on some guy's couch, not some guy's couch, his friend's couch. His straight friend who was in his bed, and I was on the couch. Anyway, and his friend. It's like, you know that moment where you wake up and the hangover, it hasn't hit. And you're just like, oh, I'm perfectly fine. And he's slammed down like a 40-liter iced coffee and 3 breakfast tacos. And I was like, oh, this is the sweetest thing in the world. Yeah. Down it. Then he's like, let's go to the gym before we have this boat day. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. So I down this like huge iced coffee, eat 3 of the best breakfast tacos I've ever had. Yeah. And I'm like running on the treadmill at the gym, and I'm like, oh, uh-oh. Ran my ass to those stalls. Had a party in there. Oh my God. I painted the walls with my mouth. It was wonderful. But I absolutely would do it again.
Random ADHD moment right now, but I'm just going to say it because why not? But you remember the Elle Woods story? This story just reminded me of the Elle Woods, the Fight for Elle Woods, the competition series on MTV. Do you remember that? Where they're singing Better Than Before is that it?
Or, no.
God, I just like lost my like musical theater.
So much better?
So much better. Oh my God.
No. You got to take it away.
I got to go back to New York. But at the end, she's singing and she's like, "Then before, oh no." And that's just like it's just like in the audition, and it's like Telsey and the people, and they're like,
they're like, oh,
it just reminded me of you on the treadmill. Like,
oh no. Yeah.
And also drinking before a boat day is crazy.
Like you're drinking on the boat.
Oh, I know. I feel like I see TikToks like this all the time where it's like all the girls are like, we put down a deposit so it's too late and we went out the night before, and it's like 6 girls like fucking on their asses asleep. Yes. Bouncing up and down. And then there's the one girl just taking shots being like, what the fuck, guys? Like, we paid for this. We gotta do it. Yeah, no, it's dangerous.
And speaking of food, because we were speaking of food, I went to Crumble Cookies last night, and this has a story, or this has a lead into the next thing, is that they have a flavor this week, Tres Leches, but it was sold out because it was so popular.
Yeah.
How is Tres Leches? Another podcast everybody should listen to.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. How is that going?
It's good. You know, I actually had the Tres Leches cookie. I wouldn't call it a cookie.
Is it like a cake? It's kind of like a cake,
it was like
right?
a cake, but it wasn't traditional, but it was still good. Like the day after ACL, me and my boyfriend, we like ordered a box. He was like gonna get a box of 4. I was like, get 6. And then they came and I was like, we gotta try. And usually I get like if there's any peanut butter in anything, I'll get more than one because I'm like, we'll share that one and then this one will be mine.
That's mine. Yeah.
But 6 crumble cookies is a fucking commitment. Like those, I forget they're like huge.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were all really good. And the Tres Leches one was good. And the podcast is great. It's fun to do. I mean, it's you guys know it's like fun to just have fun with people and talk. I mean, usually it's just me, Ian, and Juan, but that's fucking enough talking to last more than an hour. So
yeah. And then when did you guys like come up, like what was kind of the idea behind the podcast? Was it just like one day you were like, oh, we should do something like this, or like it'd be fun to do a group project? What was kind of the starting point?
Well, as a Virgo, I don't really love a group project unless I'm in charge.
I'm with you, girl.
Or I'm unless I'm doing something where I like trust that the people that I'm doing it with are better than me. And this is one of those things where I feel like there's I trust them. But it was one of those things where I think we were like out at lunch or something, and I just remembered every time we'd hang out, the 3 of us together, I just never wanted to leave. So I was like, how can we like keep this going? And I was like, what if we did a podcast? And for the longest time, I was like, who the fuck wants to listen to me? And I was like, who cares, honestly, at this point? And the strike was happening, and I was like, I need something to make me feel creative, to like, put myself into, and that's where we kind of like decided to do it.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's so fun. Yeah, I love doing this with Julian so much. It's like, it's such a nice, it's also just like, I feel like we get to spend so much more time together.
Yeah.
And like, also we just have so many stories and so much to share. And it's such a nice thing. And we've got to like have incredible people on the podcast like yourself. Like, it's such a nice thing.
Yeah. And it's so fun to watch you guys do it, because I know you both in real life, but to watch you do it online is really special, because it's like, oh, now everyone else gets to, you know, not that you guys aren't online already and that people don't already know who you are, but this is like a little more personal. Like, they get to like to be with you for a while, you know?
Yeah.
So that
was a big part. Thank you for that, because that was a big part
sweet.
of like why we wanted to. I was like, take the wig off and like actually speak online. It's like, has been new, but it's been so rewarding again to have people and friends like yourself on that inspire both me and Nick, and have been so kind on our journey here in LA as well. And I just saw yesterday they posted, and forgive me if they posted before, but season 4 of Hacks just started filming, or it's in production now. Congratulations!
Thank you.
Hacks, incredible.
Yeah. What also I'm always curious, because I feel like I've seen also like you're huge on TikTok, and I fucking love your TikTok. Yours is one of those TikToks where I go through and I'm like, I'm gonna like every single thing, because automatically I'm obsessed with this. But your I feel like it's come up on your TikTok before, kind of like, or there's been like pictures of you in the past with like new news announcements and stuff of you. Like, I know there's that story of you were like working at a restaurant at one point, and there was something about a piece of paper or something like that. I remember that from years ago, or about like writing down, like manifesting something about acting in the future. What kind of was your like path from the beginning? How did it, and obviously like many actors, I know that like you had a lot of disappointments and rejections and whatnot. I guess like, how did it start and what kept you going?
Oh God. I mean, I started as like a little kid that definitely had too much creativity for one person. And, I don't know. I was always like I was very much everyone's kind of vibe when they're creative, like performing for family and doing all of that. And like, I was, a kid at the Boys and Girls Club, and I remember writing this like play called The Color Black, and it was like one of those things where I was like, okay, they're only going to put on a play here at the Boys and Girls Club if it has a message. So it was about like, don't do drugs. And like just being a little entrepreneur back then, like, how do I get this made? And I like remember writing out the script, and I didn't have a computer. So I like wrote out the script, and then I took it to the activity center like office, and I like made copies, like 10 copies. And I gave it to all my friends. I'm like, we're doing a play. And they're like, what? Like nobody wanted to do it, but I was like, we will charge admission. And people are like, okay, we like that. And, it was like 10 cents a pop. But anyway, I did stuff like that all the time. And then I remember working at like a modeling agency when I was like in my early 20s, like 20, 21. And I would see all the models come in and like get auditions and not show up. And I was like, this is ridiculous. They should be showing up. Like, I want this so bad. So I just like would go to clubs with them and see how quickly and easily it was to be around like famous people. And I was like, oh, this isn't as hard as my mom said it was. She said this was for them. So I just like started to go on auditions and like look online and just like really submit myself for everything. Like, I started off as a background extra in New York, and I really was like obsessed with it. Like, even doing background work, I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to get in the camera. Like, and there was nobody could ever say no. That's something that I really miss about myself, is that I would never take no for an answer. Whereas now I'm just like, all right, I guess. So I was always really scrappy in that sense. But I started as an extra and then started doing reenactment shows like Celebrity Ghost Story and like things like that on Discovery ID. And, then I got like Pose eventually. And that came after I was like already doing stuff on the internet, like creating videos with wigs and, doing characters and all of that, because I was not getting the auditions that I thought I could book. Like, I wasn't getting auditions for character work. And, it was like Hot Gardener, which they exist. And I'm like, God forbid I complain about being cast as someone hot, but I was just like, there is more. Like, I want to be the gay guy, and that was at a time where it's like, don't be gay, but I really leaned into that homosexuality. And it ended up working out, because even when I booked Pose, the creator Steven was like, I used to watch your stuff on Instagram all the time when I was in film school, and now I'm so happy that you can be on our show. So it just was like a steady climb. I never had like a big break. I still don't think I've had a big break, but I'm just so happy to be a working actor, because that was really always the dream.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Yeah. And Pose was I feel like that must have been such an exciting moment for you, and such like an incredible show and an unbelievable performance. But I mean, everything you've done is like, I think what's so nice about your work is like you really do stick out on every single thing that you do. And
Thank you.
And I also think, like you're saying, it's just like to be a working actor nowadays. I mean, as we all know, the industry is just such a fucking shit show. It's like to be able to consistently work and also have people see your stuff and want to cast you in more. It's I mean, that's just like, that's exactly what you've always wanted to do. And it's so nice to hear those stories about you as a child, and like
yeah, I was like so audacious. Like I was reading RuPaul's book recently, and she's like, I just always knew I was going to be a star. And like, I was like, wait, I agree. Like I love hearing that, because you're supposed to be like humble, and don't get me wrong, like I am, like every day I'm like, I can't believe that I get to do this, but I always knew, and I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't have the fucking balls or the delusion to think that that's where I was going to get. Like that little paper that you were talking about that I put on Instagram or TikTok, it was basically, I was working at a restaurant, and I was so miserable that day. And I like wrote on a piece of like my paper that I took my orders on. I said, one day I'll be living my dream, and this is not it. And I just remember when I finally felt like I was living my dream, I like got it framed, because I was like, this is literally me manifesting this moment that I'm, and I was like crying in my kitchen because I found the note after a while. And I think that's really important for people to keep like aspiring to more if that's what they want.
Yeah.
One thing I love about Beyonce is that she never says that she's Beyonce. Everyone else does, and that's because of her work ethic and how talented she is. And, she's just really aspirational in that way. It's like, just be good and and show up and want it.
She doesn't say I'm that girl. She sings it.
Yeah. And they also, people tell her she's Beyonce. They go, you are Beyonce. And she goes, thank you.
Thank you.
Literally one of the best things. And the best part about that clip is that, in like so many of her, I mean, absolutely obsessed. But the best part of that clip is that it's not even like she's catching herself saying thank you, like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. She's like, yeah, thank you. Yes.
Right. There was no like hesitation. She's like, thank you for acknowledging.
No, and I think you're so right about that. It's like, I think I rarely think about that. It's very much like, it's also not being like, well, I've done all these things and I work and I do this and I do that. It's not about having that mentality, because I think also something nowadays, especially within the entertainment industry, and I'm sure across industries, but I don't work in banking or whatever other jobs there are, accounting. But like
banking and accounting and acting are the three.
Banking and accounting and
accounting, acting and writing are the jobs available.
Multi-hyphenate, yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like it can't, understandably, it can be frustrating, especially nowadays in entertainment. But you feel like it's like, oh, I do everything. Like I have my TikTok going, I have my Instagram, I do auditions, I'm writing a short, I'm writing whatever script I can or whatever. And the thing is that that's correct. I think that what's expected now of creatives is just an unbelievably high bar that is sometimes just impossible to meet. I just think there's just like there's too many apps, there's too many things. It's like, I feel like, with your agents or management companies, it's always like, or managers, they're like, well, you could also be working on a short and you should write this spec and like this and that and whatnot. But I think the thing about it is that you can get bogged down in that, which I do. And so I'm saying I commend you for this. Like, well, I'm doing all these things and whatever, but it's about just like continuing to do them. It's like, you just got to keep your fucking foot to the pedal, like pedal to the metal, whatever that saying is, and just keep going. And then, and then those things, like, if things work out the way that they should, they will come to you. But it's just about like, just keeping on going, keep on doing
pushing.
And also doing stuff that like actually that you enjoy doing. I mean, there was a point where I like, it's funny, you guys were like saying the hit it, but like there was a point where that was viral. I was on Hacks, and then I had just booked Queer as Folk, and people would stop me and be like, so what's next? And I was like, what's next? Like, what do you mean? Like, this is the moment. Like,
right.
And it really affected me, because I was like, okay, what is next? Like, hopefully that this will turn into, and And then I just remember thinking like I needed to acquire more rather than enjoy what I was already being given. You know, I was, what's next after this comes out? What next? What can I do? And that's one of the things about the podcast that I love, because it didn't come out of a place of like, I have to. It came out of a place of like, I want to. And I think that's really where people have to focus. Like even on TikTok, like sometimes they're like, I got to make a video because, you know, I need that moment again. And it's like, but sometimes that will come like without, there's some videos that I've posted. I'm like, that's really what got millions of views.
Right.
Like, really?
Always.
So it's just about like, you know, putting out the stuff that you feel proud of and like enjoy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is something we've talked about in the past couple and kind of throughout. It's just like celebrating like the present wins, like and they don't have to be. I say little wins, but they don't have to be little. But just like the wins that we're having like day to day, instead of like thinking of like what's next and like what more can I do and keep going, and that like takes over and doesn't allow you to like have that joy or happiness or like process the incredible emotions or, you know, experience you had with what is happening now. And like on a much smaller scale, like it does, like on TikTok, like if I post a video that like I work like really hard on, and then it's like, do this, and I'm like, okay, well, it just like in the comment of that, and I'm like, bitch, like I'm like sweating in a fucking wig from like doing it all day, and you're like, do Jawbreaker, and I'm like, all right,
dance monkey dance.
It's dance monkey, exactly.
And you're just like, just like appreciate what we're putting forth, and it's just like, and like that's again, I'm not comparing that experience to that, but like on just like on a much smaller scale, it's just
but
like,
it's similar. It's very, I mean, they're all cut from the same kind of cloth, which is just like, you're only as good as your last relationship, you're only as good as your last job, you're only as good as your last home. Like it's all of this like keeping up with the Joneses vibes, where it's like, I was talking to my therapist recently. It's like, one of the reasons for moving to Austin is because I was like, what have I always wanted? I've always wanted a porch with a rocking chair on it. Like super, super, super simple. And I also have been trying to focus on things that I want outside of work, that work might help me get or whatnot. But, you know, I think also living in LA for so long, it was like so career focused that I forgot who I absolutely was, like who I was. So I like went back to my childhood of thinking of like what really made me happy. And so I think that's also important to like do shit that isn't going to revolve around what your output is, you know, but that's also very like American.
I really love that. I'm like kind of getting emotional, but that's like really, I'm like, I guess I haven't even really thought about that. I feel like living in LA, it is so like career that you kind of like, and I feel like, I mean, I've been in LA now for like 8 years, and I feel like maybe there is part of me, I haven't even thought about this until you said that, like that's, you're like forgetting kind of like, other than, you know, I want to be a star. It's like that doesn't have to be your entire being, and I don't think it should be. And I think there are people who go for that, and that's like amazing. But I also think when I think about now, like all the people who are like superstars who I absolutely love, like there's also other facets to them, like their involvement with like a foundation that they really love, or like a place that they live, or a place that they go, or like a group that they work with or whatever. And I kind of love that idea, like you're saying, like going back to childhood. It's like, I think I should do that. I think it's like, I love that. Just thinking back to like who I am as a person, when it's not just about this like desire to like be something, but also just to like the desire to be myself and like follow that. And I love that. That's really, really beautiful.
I fully agree. And Nick, literally as you were like getting emotional, I was like, fuck, like not this. It's like I feel like it's a record. I feel like I haven't cried in like 3 episodes. For a while there, I was crying every episode.
And then there's our Mother's Day episode where we literally just, it's 45 minutes of us crying. It's literally the whole episode is like.
Speaking of literal mothers, I went home for my mom's birthday last weekend, and it was really special. I like hadn't had, especially this year, hadn't really had like one-on-one with my mom. Like I talked to her on the phone like all the time, but like just to like really talk about things like you wouldn't really talk over the phone kind of thing, like especially with your mom, because you don't want to be like, I'm sad, or like and like worry them or anything like that. But so we moved from Chicago, or my parents moved from Chicago to New York in like my junior year of college, and then moved to Colorado after the pandemic. So, or like during kind of. So they had a storage of all of our like childhood things in Chicago for like the past like 8 or 9 years. And finally in August, like me, my mom, and my dad were in Chicago for Lollapalooza, and they got all that storage and moved to Colorado. So like I haven't seen any like baby pictures or anything like that in so long. And I went back, and it was just me and my mom, and we like went on this magical hike. It was so nice that I like definitely, she was like, a little hike. It was like 6 miles later. I was like, we need to reevaluate your definition of little hike.
Little.
But on that hike, like I got to really like open up to her about everything happening in life, and also like some insecurities that I've talked about on this podcast, where it's like, as we get older and like, again, like focus on career and things like that, I feel like more self-conscious than ever, or like in a space that I haven't felt like in a long time. And comes with that is like questioning who you are, and not just specifically like in the entertainment industry, but just like in life. And once we got back from the hike, and we started like going through little we started going through the storage, and like one of the things I was opening up to my mom is that like sometimes it's something I struggle with, because I'm so proud, and I talked about this I think on our Pride episode, but I just like sometimes hate that I do feel like this, but this is like completely honest, is that like I'm so proud to be who I am, and I do like love myself, but like there are days where I'm like, it would be so much easier if like that eccentric side of myself wasn't there, or like I wasn't as feminine, or I wasn't like doing what I'm doing, and like all these things, and like questioning like the like true things that make me who I am. And as I was going through these storage things, we like came across pictures of like when I was younger, and like it was just a reminder, because like even in those pictures, I'm so gay. Like I'm so gay. I'm posing, like my wrists are like flicked, and it's like, this is like, that's who I am, you know. And you like lose sight of that, like when maybe you're feeling down, or like you're feeling like discouraged, where you're just like, is it me? Like, are there things about me that I could change, or that are hindering me from the success that you dream about? You know what I'm saying? And that's been a big thing, self-conscious wise. And just to bring back to those pictures and like connect with my childhood, it's like, this is me. Like that is who I've always been. And I told my mom, and she's like, you've literally, like, that's like what makes you who you are, and you've always had that. And like, obviously it made her sad to hear that, but I was like, it's not always, it's not always, it's not a thing. Like, I'm so proud, and I will always advocate for everybody to be proud of who they are, and 100% of those things inside that make you like unique in this world. But just like connecting to your childhood, or just like realizing that it is about your happiness and like your passion and who you are, and just like continuing to carry that forward as well.
I mean, that's something I struggled with for so long. When I was like, when I was starting to get like a following on Instagram and stuff, it was because of the videos I would do where I was like, super feminine and like really powerful, and just didn't give a fuck what people thought. And it really like it endeared people to me. And I like, but after a while, you hear a couple of comments from like either guys you date or just friends, or there was one thing that friends used to do that I don't think they realized it was so like anytime I would say something, they're like, oh, there's Jaleesa, there's Jaleesa, and like they would say it in a way that was like, oh, you're a woman, and it was kind of like demeaning in a way, like the tone. And it really like started to make me hate that character because it was being used against me. And so it took a while, but like I stopped doing it. I really like it really, you know, I also like work was weird and I was just like, I started to blame the thing that really made me pop for, you know, the comments that I would get or like the feelings I would have. But that's also how I felt growing up as well. Like I was very much who I was. Like I never was scared to be me until I was told by others how I was not enough. So it's like no matter how much older you get, you still get it, you know, there's like that saying that's like, it gets better. I'm like, it gets different, you know, because you still deal with that kind of like, you know, disrespect in a way, you know, it's maybe not as blatant, but there's like these little things that, you know, you read a comment or you see a thing and it's like, it's just another thing that you have to contend with. And, you know, it's sad because a lot of times people will comment and be like, where's Jaleesa? I miss Jaleesa. Or like people will tell me in person. And, you know, it makes me like, God, why did I allow that to bring that part of me down? Or why did I stop doing that? You know, and so hearing you say that really like touched me because it's true. Like a lot of people, you know, they look at us and they're like, you're so powerful, you're so queer, like you're so happy being you. But there is a lot of like sadness that comes with that too, because you also are dealing, like I remember being on Grindr and this guy was like, dude, I'm such a fan of yours, but I'm not into femme guys. And I was like, oh God, then you're like not a fan. Like you don't get it. You don't get what we're doing here, you know, but it really stuck with me and it bothered me. But it's like, people don't realize that you still deal with that. So like honoring the child while also honoring the adult that's still going through very childlike things is really important.
Yeah, I think there's like, I think something that's really interesting about growing up, and like I think also like you were saying, I feel like a lot of our queer listeners or queer viewers would agree. They're like, oh my God, you guys are like these like queer, like these really fun queer people who are out on the internet, and you're so like proud of yourselves and you're so this and whatnot. But the thing is that, and it goes back to the childhood, and I would say even past childhood, it's like more like high school when you start to feel like, okay, I am like I'm having these feelings, and you're basically being told, whether or not, you know, someone's calling you a faggot at high school or you're just like watching TV and you're like, there's no gay representation or whatever, you're constantly being told that you're not enough or you're not right or you're not this or you're not that. And I think there's this expectation, like you were saying, that like, and I dealt with this a lot where I was like, I came out and I was like, I'm gay and here I am. And now everything's great. Right. And things are so much better. Don't get me wrong. And I felt so accepted. But it's also like I'm in my 30s now, and I'm still going back to that feeling of like not feeling like I'm enough, or like I should be different, or like, you know, I you know, it's always that thing of like 1,000 people could tell me I'm the best person in the world, but that one person says that like I'm a little too this, I'm a little too feminine, I'm a little too loud, whatever, and that's what I focus on. And I think something that you guys are both talking about that's really beautiful is it's like, I really want to get to the point, and I feel like I inch closer there every day, but like honoring that, like I'm obsessed with that version of me as like a little kid who is so entirely himself and so like just unapologetically himself. And I would love to be able to fully get there, like run around in my dress and just be the loudest little bitch in the fucking room and like be that now. And I'm getting closer, and I feel like it's a journey. Absolutely. Yeah. But getting there as an adult and just being like, I don't give a I genuinely don't care. It's like, I love that. It's like honoring that childhood version of you. That's such a good way to put it.
Definitely.
But to anybody who's listening and going through that, we love you, and you're perfect, and it's okay. And like Megan Thee Stallion says, bad bitches have bad days too.
Ooh.
And literally, we're all in this together. So you are loved, and you are amazing. So
we're all in this.
I know. They need to do a High School Musical reboot and cast us in it.
Well, wait, Johnny. Too late. They already did, and we didn't get cast.
Oh well, fuck.
But
my agents must have forgotten to send me that self tape.
Right.
Johnny, wait. Speaking of queers, I was like fascinated. I was like following.
I love that.
Well,
Speaking of queers.
Speaking of queers,
transition. Speaking of queers, I feel like such a fun experience. I mean, I love the show, and I was so bummed it got canceled after one season, but it was such a fun experience. Also, was it like Queer as Folk? You getting to be in the reboot of that, and your experience. I'm like panicking. You guys don't see I'm like sweating down to here. No, but your experience like living with the cast in New Orleans, right?
Oh my gosh,
you lived there. What was that like? Like that, I feel like that is a very special type of, acting possibility. Like just being able to really do that on such like a intimate, lovely show with the community.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
That was like it's truly like gay summer camp, but also like being back in like drama class. Like it was, the same kind of dynamics where it's like everyone is like a little younger and everyone wants to be like, and when you like start getting cliquey and you start like being everyone loves each other, but everyone has like little baby dramas like with each other. That is so funny because I'm like, this feels like literal high school theater, or Glee for anyone that wasn't in high school theater. But it was so fun because it was one of the first times. I mean, I feel this on Hacks because it's very like queer, but it was the first time where it felt like it was our show. We were in charge. Like a lot of the camera operators and stuff were straight and, from New Orleans, from the South. So there was a lot of, and a lot of our cast is non-binary. So it was like a real educational tool for a lot of those guys that were like, they, and it was fun to watch them be the ones that felt like, I must get comfortable with this. Whereas like a lot of times queer people go into spaces and they feel like I have to earn my keep in a way. It was a lot of fun, and it was really, really fun to just do queer shit that didn't feel like it was for straight eyes, if that makes sense. Like, we didn't feel tertiary or secondary characters. We were the main event, and, it was really fun to like talk about poppers and, threesomes and perform those things. Thinking about my mom and my dad having to watch me in this was like so LOL because I'm like, oh my god, this is too much. But it was really fun, and also being in New Orleans, which is where I was born, was really like a full circle moment and super sweet and fun, and the food's really great there. So it was really nice. I was really, really bummed that it didn't go for like a second or third season, but this is where I had the revelation where I was like, who am I outside of this? Because I had so much writing on it. It was like the first big thing that I got. I like was so excited. I felt like my dream had come true, and I was just worried the whole time. The whole time I was filming, I was worried. Like, is this are people gonna watch? Is this good? And I remember kind of like escaping myself a lot during filming because I was so worried about the outcome, rather than the fact that I got to do it every day, that I got the big trailer, that I got to be in more than one or two scenes for the whole season or whatnot. So it was really exciting, and it once you have it, it's like I want more, But it was a really special time to reflect on what really is important to me. And that, like, being with people that are, like-minded and want it just as much as you do is really special. And I do miss that about it.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, I loved it so much. You were incredible.
Thanks.
I know.
It's fun. It's still available on Peacock. Thankfully, they haven't taken it down.
Stream it, mama.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
No, that's that. It's. I mean, it was a great show, and it, like I was saying, it was just. I felt like also just as like a viewer from the outside, like following a bunch of you guys like on social media during the process and like after, just seeing all the dumps and whatnot, like seeing just such a. I mean, like, fully, it was a family. It was a family on set.
And we still. I mean, we still love each other. We, I was just talking to Chris and Finn the other day, and I go to dinner with Ryan O'Connell like at least once a month. We're like the older ones, so we're like father figures vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really quick, for hot topics in the world, I have to say, because I'm allowed to say it now, I saw the Wicked movie.
I know.
You saw it?
I know.
I saw it.
I know.
And it is I'm allowed to say it now because tickets are on sale. Everybody buy your tickets to Wicked.
And you posted it on Instagram.
I
and
posted it,
Instagram.
yes. I'm allowed to speak on it online.
Yeah.
But literally best movie in the world. It is so good. Everybody is so absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, like, she's my queen. Everybody, like, fully. If she's not already, she's about to be. Like, the honesty and groundedness in her work is spectacular, and I, like, am thrillified to say that. And Cynthia Erivo, the entire cast and production, like, the way they built out those sets, it's so gorgeous. And I just had to say that because I was just thinking of really exciting pieces of work that inspire me, like,
Chris,
like. Yes, Queer as Folk. I don't know what I was gonna say. I saw myself because I was gonna say Queer Eye. Yeah,
I know.
Everyone does that.
I almost did the same exact thing.
Everyone always says, I'm like, listen, if I were on Queer Eye, I'd be rich.
Oh my god.
but that's
Speaking
where
of
I
Wicked,
led into that.
did either of you audition for Wicked?
No.
I did it on Broadway.
Did you?
but not on-
I auditioned for the movie. Allegedly. I'll say this because
for the movie that's allegedly coming out.
Because I've never said this publicly because it's embarrassing, but I apparently, according to my team at the time, said that I was second choice for Bowen Yang's character.
Oh, amazing!
Who, like, obviously to be second choice to Bowen is so fierce. Like,
That's exciting.
But I remember doing the audition and be like, this is really fun,
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to see it. You know, it's funny, on our podcast, we did like some hot topics or whatever, and I'm like, they're like, what makes you think of the word overrated, or what do you think when I say Wicked? And I was like, overrated. And it went viral because so many people were like, how dare you? And I was like, I did it because I was like, I know this is like, if I say that, people
It's
are gonna
hot.
be like,
It's a hot
how
topic.
Right. But I was literally that kid in high school that knew every fucking word front to back. Like, I love Wicked. You know, I just knew, like, if I say this, and especially in front of Ian and Juan, who are like Broadway girlies, they're gonna have a moment. It's gonna be clipped. So
You're like, I know this is gonna go viral, and then it went viral, and you were like, told you.
I'm like Lisa Rinna producing the show.
But truly, all the hype is literally so worth it. It is so absolutely incredible. I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna be annoying to everyone who hasn't seen it, but I'm like, I can't believe I have to wait another month to see it again. And then to say, what were you gonna say?
Were you gonna say for another? I thought you were gonna say another year.
Oh, well, I am going to say that next. But, like, before the year, I have to wait another month to see the movie I already saw.
This is like when someone complains about going on vacation. Like, oh, we're going to Mykonos. And I'm like, I don't know. It's so far away. You're like, oh, you do.
Yeah.
It's literally that. It's like,
Oh,
you Helen knows the owner.
Apparently.
Yeah. Wait. Also, Johnny, is there? Speaking of that, like you were saying, you love Wicked since you were like a young boy. Is there like a play or a
10
reboot
million
or a
years
musical? 84 years ago. Is there like a project that you've always been obsessed with, or like not anything new, but a reboot or like a play or a musical that like would be like a dream role for you?
Oh God, a musical. I feel like I don't have the range for this, but Bobby and Company is like super fun, or anything Sondheim really, which is hilarious because I feel like that is like a singer's kind of place to be. But if it were like, a movie, how they used to turn like musicals into movies, now they turn movies into just musicals. That, or what else? I feel like, that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that I'm like, that would be so fun. You know, just that kind of vibe. I love Sondheim.
Yeah. Love Sondheim. New Sondheim musical coming this spring.
Really?
His last.
Oh, I was going to say, she did.
I was going to say, she passed away?
Exactly.
She passed away? Yeah. I was certain. I was James. What was that?
James.
Oh my God.
Also, I want to take a moment to send love to everybody in Florida right now.
Oh.
Hopefully, everybody please stay safe. That looks crazy.
Yes.
The TikTok algorithm,
all
I'm
over
seeing
TikTok.
people who are staying.
I know.
There are some people who I leaving is not always
No, yeah, a
a
lot of
choice
people can't
for
afford it,
some.
or they don't have
Yeah,
an
exactly.
option.
And so I just want to take that time because that has
Yeah.
been like all over my feed too, to
Yeah.
stay safe and hoping that it is
Yeah.
not as bad
Not
as
as bad as
they
they're
say,
gonna
which is
say,
so
yeah.
scary. And then they say there's another one behind it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Potentially.
nonstop. It's nonstop.
So yeah, the world's ending, but like
Yeah.
stay optimistic about it and keep your head up.
And as we were saying,
Chin,
But like
chin
and-
up
like and
or the crown
subscribe.
slips, mama.
and don't forget to vote. Voting, like we
Oh,
said,
and-
right? And vote.
And
guys,
vote.
and guys, don't forget to vote.
Just
Okay.
vote.
It's really
Just
important.
vote.
Just vote. Just vote.
Just
Nina,
vote.
it's gonna be Nina. Wait, Johnny, please let us know if there's like anything exciting coming your way, or if there, or where people can
What's
find
next?
you. What's next? What?
Just kidding. Just
Yes,
kidding.
the thesis
That was
here
a-
is what's next?
That was a callback. That was a
yeah,
callback.
Well,
And tell everybody where they can find you. as
Yeah.
well.
they can find me apparently now in Austin, LA, on the mean streets of Los Angeles as well. My socials, which is just my name on everything, which was very calculated when I was younger.
That's you got your cross. I always congratulate people when they're cross platform. That's huge.
I was like, I just have to use my name because one
Yeah.
day, God,
Yeah.
And I do have something coming up. It's coming out on ABC. I can't reveal what it is because I'm not allowed technically.
That's
but,
great.
It'll be Thursday, I think. Not this Thursday,
Oh,
but 8th,
like-
on Thursday nights. Just watch Thursday Night Lineup.
What's Thursday nights? I'm just gonna be glued to my TV every Thursday. And be like, "Where's Johnny? Where's Johnny?" I swear he
Just a
said he's gonna be
commercial.
here.
It's a commercial that comes on Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, well, congratulations on
Yes.
Thursday nights.
Can't wait.
ABC lineup. Cannot wait for that.
We find out it's called Thursday nights on ABC. Yeah. Okay. Well, Johnny, we adore you. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for getting honest and raw and real with us too. That
my
was a
God,
really gorgeous
always.
conversation.
Always raw,
Not
always
me
real.
cheering up. Not me
Come
cheering
on,
up.
raw dog.
Yeah. Raw and real. Well, we
Is
adore
everything
you.
bigger in Texas? Just kidding.
Oh.
I know you have a boyfriend. Well,
yeah.
bigger in Texas.
They're like, yes.
Well, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. exactly. On that note, thank
that
you so
note,
much
thank
for
you for
listening.
tuning in.
We love
Thank you,
you.
Johnny.
This was
We
Breathe If
love
You
you.
Agree. Comment, subscribe, like.
We'll see you
and
next week.
Mwah, love you.
Bye.
Bye.